StrayAllDay.com.
You are now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you're expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to kick your people-pleasing habit. Before we get into this, I'll remind you all of two things. First of all, my daily motivation and Monday motivation text message is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day or your week respectively. All you got to do to get these texts once we start sending them out again is text me at my number 305-384-6894. And once those messages are going out again, you'll be getting them straight to your phone. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. We focus there on mastering your mindset, your strategies, your systems, and your accountability for full implementation of high-level performance, consistency, and producing results. If that sounds like the formula for what you need to get to your highest level, to maximize out on your potential and to live the life that you want to be living right now, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is down below in the description to this episode. With that out of the way, let's get into this topic here today again, which is how to eliminate your people-pleasing habit. Now, this title is a pretty simple one. This is not a metaphor, as yesterday when we talked about 2-minute warning, that was a metaphor. This one is not a metaphor. This title is direct because many of us fall into this habit of doing things for the purpose of appeasing other people, even at our own expense or our own detriment. Why? Because we want to maintain amicable relations amongst people. That's a noble cause to want to maintain amicable relations with other human beings. And we don't like, maybe some of you have less of a stomach for doing things that you know may ruffle other people's feathers. Some people don't mind doing it at all. Some people are highly sensitive to doing it to others, and maybe you're highly sensitive to others, maybe trying to do it to you. And you may want to avoid potentially uncomfortable emotions and potentially uncomfortable engagements. Maybe that's the reason why you have become a people pleaser. However, it is well known that a person's success in life has a direct and linear relationship to your willingness and your ability to have difficult conversations and engage in difficult circumstances. So today, we will talk about how you can eliminate your habit of people pleasing so that you can elevate your success potentiality. In other words, you want to raise the ceiling of your success. The most important thing you can do is stop pleasing people out of this fear of uncomfortable energy and uncomfortable engagements. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is how to eliminate your people-pleasing habit. Number one, empower yourself. It's the first thing you can do to eliminate your habit of pleasing people is to empower yourself. Now, what does empowering yourself mean? Well, it can take many forms. The bottom line of empowering yourself is you actually feeling like and believing that you have power. Any type of power, whether that's relational power, whether it's financial power, whether it's transactional power, whether it's situational power, any form of power. The first thing you need to do is empower yourself. Now, empowering yourself creates this chicken or egg issue. Chicken or egg issue is the question of which one comes first. You do this first, do that first, between your no longer having the need to people please and being empowered. Which one comes first? As a matter of fact, they actually can serve each other. So there is no chicken, there is no egg. Either one can be the chicken and egg. The more power, which is simply defined as your ability to influence and persuade others and yourself, the more power that you have, the less you will feel the need to please other people, as you literally will need to please them less. And you actually will need them less based on the power you've accrued for yourself. The more power you have accrued for yourself, the less you need to do anything to appease another person. Doesn't mean you don't have friends. Doesn't mean you don't still influence people. Doesn't mean you don't have people around you. It's just that you don't need to do anything to appease them, which means if you don't want to appease them and that causes them to exit your premises, so what? You replace them with somebody else. See, when you are empowered, you can adopt this type of mindset. Some of you listening to me right now heard what I just said, and that seems a foreign concept to you because maybe you have never existed in this state, this mental state of I'm empowered. So if you choose to leave, or you choose you don't want to talk to me anymore, or you choose you don't want to be in my world, or you choose you want to unfollow me on Facebook, so what? I'll replace you with somebody else. I don't need you here. So any of you who has never experienced this mentality, this may seem a foreign concept, and it is a foreign concept for you as of today. It doesn't have to be a foreign concept tomorrow. It doesn't have to be a foreign concept next year. It's just a matter of if you're willing to do the things necessary to empower yourself. And I give you the formula for that every day in this masterclass. The more power you have, the less you will feel the need to please other people, because again, you will not need them as much based on the power you've accrued for yourself. Understand something. We talked about this in previous episodes. You cannot need people and lead people. If you're going to lead people, you can't need them. And if you need them, you can't lead them. Because if someone senses that you need them, meaning you would do anything to make sure that they are around, then you don't have the power to lead them. Because if you're going to lead a person, then you have to be willing to tell them things and have them do things that may make them so uncomfortable to the point that they will push back against you. And if you're not willing to tell them, listen, this is the way that it's going to go, and this is the way that I'm leading, and if you don't like it, you can leave. If you're not willing to have that stance, I'm not saying you necessarily have to say it in so many words, but if you're not willing to have that stance with a person, then you are incapable and you are unqualified to lead that individual. You can't lead a person who you need so badly that you're unwilling to put them in a position or to tell them something or to do something that might make them uncomfortable, especially when they indicate that it makes them uncomfortable. Your mindset when you're a leader and someone who you're leading tells you that what you're having them do that you know is the right thing to do is making them uncomfortable, and your mindset is, so what? It's making you uncomfortable. Or, of course, it's making you uncomfortable. That's what it's supposed to do. That's how it's supposed to work. In my short dalliance playing tackle football, American football, I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. It was at this playground called Simon's Playground in West Oak Lane, the West Oak Lane section of Philadelphia. And the coaches would have us 8-year-olds do this exercise where we would lay on the ground and you had to lift your heels 6 inches off the ground. And any of you's ever done this, maybe if you've taken a Pilates class or something like that, this is something you would do in there. It is a very burning and taxing core exercise, a core and abdominal exercise. You lift your heels just a little bit off the ground while you're laying flat on your back, because your core has to do all the work to keep your heels off the ground and keep the rest of your body stable. And when the coaches would have us lift our heels up off the ground, he would ask us while our feet are on the ground, he would walk around and say, does it hurt? And some of us would say, yeah. He would say, good, it's supposed to hurt. All right, that's the point. All right, that's leadership. It hurts, yes. Okay, good. It's supposed to hurt. That's exactly how it's supposed to go. It's supposed to feel that way. See, the less you feel the need to appease other people, the more empowered you are, because again, you will no longer edit yourself. You won't edit your actions, and you won't edit your thoughts just to make sure that everybody else feels good. So these two energies work off of each other. Either one can come first, and the other one can follow. So when you do less people pleasing, you become more powerful by default. And when you get more power, you will do less people pleasing by default. So again, either one can be the chicken, either one can be the egg. Because either one can come first and the other one will follow. This is a package deal. There is no required order of operations between these two, but you have to start with at least one of them. You got to do one first. You either got to decide I'm not going to please people anymore, or you got to decide I'm going to empower myself. Either one can come first and the other one will follow shortly after. One of the reasons that many people fall into the habit of people pleasing is because they feel powerless, weak, and dependent on other people. This is one of the telltale signs of oncoming powerlessness is this feeling, oncoming people pleasing, or one of the symptoms of people pleasing, if you're already doing it, is your feeling of powerlessness around certain people, the people you're finding yourself pleasing all the time, weakness personally, and dependence on others. So when you feel those things, then it's easy to become a people pleaser because you need those people. And this is why I told you, you can't need and lead at the same time. So what happens is people who feel powerless, weak, and dependent, you end up doing things to please other people because you need to maintain relations with those people. You need to maintain a positive relationship with that person. And listen, I'm all for positive relationships. You hear me talk about this all the time, that you can get more done through positive relations with other people than you'll ever get done by yourself. While at the same time, I'm not into people pleasing. I am empowered, I am strong, and I am independent of the need for other people. And if that means that a relationship may get lost because I have a certain way that I want to do things and someone has a problem with it, well, so be it. Or I share an opinion that someone doesn't like. Hey, okay, sorry to see you go, but bye. That's the way it is. And when you're empowered, then you have this mindset this is just your normal way of operating in life. And the better and faster that you can lose this habit of people pleasing, the easier it will be to do these other things like empowering yourself, feeling strong within yourself, and less dependent on other people. This is one of the reasons why when when I first got into entrepreneurship, they would talk about this a lot. And when I first got into entrepreneurship, it was through a mechanism known as network marketing or multi-level marketing, which many of you know of. And in multi-level marketing or network marketing at the meetings, they would often do a whole lot of indoctrination with people about why it is good to have some type of entrepreneurial venture going on in your life, even if you have full-time employment. Because, and this is not something that they talked about so much in the trainings, but I learned this more over time, is that when someone can control your access to a resource that they know that you need, they have control over you. So a resource that all of us need is money. Now, even if money is not your main driving, motivating factor in life, we all need money to live. You need money for food, clothing, shelter. You got to pay your bills and take care of your family. So if you work somewhere and you don't like the boss, or you don't like the supervisor, or you don't like one of your coworkers, you don't like the way that the system works, there's only but so much complaining you can do, because if you complain enough, then they can threaten your job, which threatens your livelihood. Doesn't mean you can't get another job, but it might be a little bit inconvenient. You might not be able to get the same money. It might take a while before you get another job. It might make you look bad because you got fired from the last job. So they can control you. And this is something that, and I'm using a job and money as an example here, but this can be any aspect of your life in which someone else controls your access or controls your connection to a thing. And the more it's controlled by someone else, if they know that they have that power over you, then now you have no choice but to appease that person. So what you want to do strategically is you want to remove as many of those tentacles as possible so that you are fully empowered. This means you don't need another person for anything. Doesn't mean you don't want them around. Doesn't mean you can't be friends with them. Doesn't mean you can't be cool with that person and work with them, but you don't need them. Because when you need someone else and they know that you need them, now they have an advantageous position over you. And they, depending on the type of person that they are, I'm not saying everybody does this, but depending on the type of person that they are, they may come to take advantage of that. And you don't want to be in that situation. Nobody wants to be in that situation. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to stop your people-pleasing habit. Number 2, respect over like. Respect over like. You are better off having people respect you than having people like you. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to have people like you. I mean, look at social media. It's all about liking people. Ideally, of course, you want people to do both. All right, but that's not always possible. And here's the reason why I tell you respect is more important than being liked, because like is a surface level energy. That's what it is. Like is a surface level thing. I like that person. All right, you can meet somebody at the bar and talk to them for 2 minutes while you're both waiting for a drink. They go one way, you go the other way. You never see them ever again in your life. You say, I like that guy. He was cool. All right, that's like. That's what happens when you like a person. All right, it's surface level. You forget about them within 24 hours. It's an energy that leaves a person just as quickly as it comes to them. So like is not worth much. Respect, however, lasts a lot longer, and it has much more value than merely being liked. Remember how I told you that the opportunity in life is always in the opposites? You've heard me say that before. If you haven't, you heard me say it now. Most people these days are more focused on being liked and being accepted and being part of the group. These are usually all synonymous, whatever group that may be. More people are focused on that than they are on being respected. So what's your opportunity? Is in doing the opposite of that. Not worrying about any of that stuff, and instead getting people's respect, whether they like you or not. See, somebody can respect you and not like you, but they respect your position. They respect how you deliver. They respect how you show up. They respect what you've accomplished. And somebody does not have to like you in order to respect you. And when people respect you, they are much more likely to follow through with your wishes and to honor your boundaries rather than when they merely like you. When someone merely likes you, they may not follow through with your wishes or honor your boundaries, or actually, they may not even care about your wishes or boundaries, or even give the time to find out what they are, because they only like you. All right, they're not invested. If someone respects you, they're more invested into what you're about and what you stand for. That's why respect is more important than like. And why it's an opportunity, because most people these days are here chasing likes, literally chasing likes. You're on social media, this is what people do. They're chasing likes. I'm on social media. I get likes on my posts, but I don't wake up every day thinking about how do I get more likes on a post. I don't give a damn about likes on a post. I don't give a damn about people liking me personally. I don't. I'd rather someone have respect for me than like me. Because again, I just told you why. So what happens is many people edit and contort themselves in many ways in their lives just to get others to like them. But that liking, again, often fails to lead to respect. And when you're contorting yourself to get people to like you, the harder you do it, the more obvious it is, and the more other people notice that you're doing it, guess what? The harder it is for them to respect you. Because, I mean, think about it. Any of you, everybody listens to this, you've probably been in situations in your life where there was a person, whoever it was, they were trying really, really hard to get you to like them. Any of you ever dealt with a person like that? Any of you ever been in a situation where a person was trying really hard to get you to like them? Whoever it was. And it may be legitimate, solid reasons why they were doing it. Maybe you have a position of authority where you work or in your business or in your community. And somebody comes around and they know that you're the person with the authority or the power in that space. And therefore, they are trying to get you to like them because they believe getting you to like them might help them achieve a higher status or get a situation or position in that place in which you have the power and authority. So it makes perfect sense for them to want to do that, right? Yes, it does. It does make sense for them to want to do it. The problem is when people try too hard, they're trying so hard to appease you, it's hard for you to respect them, even though you know why they're doing it. Has any of you ever experienced this? Any of you have a supervisory position where you work? You know exactly what I mean. It's hard for you to respect people who carry themselves that way, even though you know exactly why they're doing it and you get it. At the same time, there's a touch to it. There's a touch to wanting someone to like you while at the same time holding the line so that they also can respect you. Because if you're trying too hard to get somebody to like you, then it's damn near impossible for them to respect you. And again, this is just basic human nature. It's just human nature. It doesn't matter who the person is. They could be the nicest person in the world. At some point, everyone kind of crosses the line between respecting you and not respecting you. They cross the line of not being able to respect you because you're trying too hard to get them to like you. Because what it shows is that maybe there's something missing in you. There's some type of void in you that is causing you to try to make people like you. And it makes people start to question, what's up with this person? Why are they trying so hard? They're trying a little bit too hard. They're trying a little bit too hard. There's something up here. That liking, again, often fails to lead to respect. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to kill your people-pleasing habit. Number 3, set the parameters. Setting the parameters simply means deciding on the rules of engagement between you and others, whether those others be people, entities, or situations. Decide what the rules of engagement will be. When you set the parameters, you are deciding how things will work and also deciding how they will not work. If you allow others to set the parameters for you, then they are in control of the situation. Thus, they have the power and you don't. Now, depending on who you're dealing with, there's a book by Oren Klaff. It's called Pitch, P-I-T-C-H. And the book is all about how you set certain frames and how you can pitch anything and sell anything. And I'm sure I've seen Oren's name in some places, so I'm sure he still does speaking and consulting, and probably has written several other books on this whole concept. But in the book, he talks about setting the frame. How when he's in these sales meetings with other guys who are highly professional, highly skilled, and highly experienced salespeople, that other guy's trying to set a frame on him. He's trying to set a frame on them, and it's like this back and forth tennis match between him and the people he's selling to. Who's going to control the frame of the conversation? I did a whole episode on setting frames, framing in conversations. I did actually a 2-part series. So setting the parameters, folks, is about setting the frames for how things are going to go. And you set frames with yourself, first of all, with your mindset. Mindset. There's a setting of the mind. That is a form of setting a frame with yourself. When you're dealing with other people, there's a frame that you set. Any of you ever worked at a job and they showed you around how things work there? What are they doing? They're giving you the frame for how it goes. That's what they're doing. They're setting the frame. They're setting the parameters for how it works around here. In organizations, they do this. Individual people do this. There's always a frame being set of how things work. Any of you ever played on a sports team? One of the first things that happens when the team comes together and the team starts practicing and training is that everyone is kind of figuring out where they land on the totem pole. Where am I here? What's my status amongst this group? There are going to be some people at the top. There are going to be some people in the middle. There are going to be people at the bottom. And what is that? Those are the parameters being set through human dynamics between people. This happens everywhere, all the time, every interaction between humans. There are frames being set as to who is who and what is what. So what I'm saying here is not something that is brand new in your life. What it is now for many of you is going to be now conscious and intentional, because now that we're bringing it up, now you're going to be thinking about it. Now you can start doing this on purpose rather than having it happen to you randomly. And often many of you probably set parameters on people and don't even realize that you're doing it. You may not have languaged it this way, but you probably do it. I'll give you an example. How many of you are parents? Okay, when you are raising your kids, you set parameters for your kids. You may not call it that, but you are setting parameters and letting them know this is how it goes. This is what time you can play. This is what you can eat for dessert. This is what you can do. This is what you can't do. Here's what you can say, what you can't say. Here's where you can play with your toys. Here's where you got to go to take a shower and take a bath and go to sleep. You are setting parameters for them. And you are holding the line of what the parameters are. And as long as you maintain those parameters, the kids come to accept it. And that's the way it works. So if you allow others to set the parameters for you, then they control the situation, then they have the power and you don't. So you want to set the parameters, you want to set the frames in as many situations of your life as possible. Now understand that power is an ongoing game. It's a game that's always happening. It's a fluid situation. It's never set in stone. It's fluid. In other words, someone can be in power today and not in power next week. I mean, look at our president, at least as of this recording, Joe Biden, who has announced that he is going to be not running for president in 2024, but he did not announce that he was not going to continue to be president through the end of his term. So he was in a high level of power, let's say 6 months ago. Now he's in a basically a lame duck situation when it comes to his power. And who knows, maybe he's not going to finish out the term. As of this recording, I don't know. Maybe by the time you hear this, maybe we'll have found out some other news. The point is, power is always in flux. So just because someone's in power today does not mean they'll be in power tomorrow. It's because someone is weak today does not mean they'll be weak tomorrow. So play the game the right way. Understand this and respect it. So when you set the parameters, the most important thing you're deciding is what you are willing to accept versus what you're not going to accept, and also when you're willing to walk away. Most important thing you can have in a negotiation is leverage. And leverage in a negotiation is your willingness to say, I'm not interested, and walk away from the entire offer. And if the person you're negotiating with knows that you will never possibly walk away, then you don't have as much leverage as you think you do. You don't actually have any leverage. So power in any situation is only as potent as your willingness to walk away and your ability to follow through on that willingness to walk away. Right? Will you actually walk away, or are you only just threatening and you're not actually going to do it? And again, when people realize that you're just threatening, you're not actually going to do it, they won't respect it. So this is the power that you have. How far are you willing to go? So in any situation in life, when you feel like you're not getting what you want, but you are not willing to walk away, whoever's involved in that situation and they know this, when they realize that you're not going to walk away, they have all the leverage. You are limiting your power. As a matter of fact, depending on who you're dealing with, you may have zero power at that point because they realize that you won't walk away. People do not respect others who don't respect themselves enough to set limits and parameters on what they want. Even if another person has all the power, what seems to be all the power, you still need to learn to set parameters for yourself about what you are willing to accept and what you're not, even if you're dealing with someone who has significantly more power than you. They will respect the fact that you at least will stand for yourself, stand up for yourself. It's kind of like a bully in the schoolyard, right? The bully in the schoolyard might be the biggest, strongest kid in the third grade, and he's picking on one of the smallest kids in the class. But if that smallest kid in the class is willing to fight the bully, even though he will lose the fight to the bully will respect the fact that the small kid is willing to fight, even though the bully can beat him up. And the bully will probably leave him alone, not because he can't win the fight, but because what's the point of fighting someone who's going to fight back when I can just go pick on someone who will let me do it without fighting? See, even though the smallest kid can't win the fight, the fact that he's willing to fight earns him respect. It's the same thing that I'm saying to you. Let's recap today's class, which is how to eliminate your people-pleasing habit. Again, this is a pretty simple title, pretty straightforward here. I mean this one literally. Number one, empower yourself. This is a chicken and egg issue. The more empowered you are, the less you need to please other people. And the less you feel the need to please other people, the more empowered you become. Whichever one you do first, the other one will soon follow. Number two, be respect over being liked. You're better off having people respect you than having people like you. One reason is because everybody these days is running around trying to get liked and trying to get people to like them. First of all, being liked is a surface level energy. Number two, if everybody's doing it, you should look to do the exact opposite of that. Opposite of being liked is being respected. And sometimes you can get both, but if you can't get both, definitely go for the respect. It lasts longer, it goes a lot deeper, and it has a lot more power and leverage in it than simply being liked. Number three, set the parameters. All right, set the rules of engagement for how things are going to go between you, other people, other entities, and with yourself. And again, even if you have zero power on paper, the fact that you are still willing to set parameters for yourself and how you're dealing with someone who may have a lot more power than you will earn you respect, simply because it is much easier to go pick on and bother and take advantage of someone who will not set any parameters than it is to take advantage of a person who is trying and willing to set parameters for themselves. Because at least they're going to put up a fight. And again, anybody who is the type who is bloodthirsty or will take advantage of another person will do it with a person who's not going to fight back rather than someone who will. All right, it's just much easier, bloodless victory. All that said, text me, see you in my community. My number's down below in the description. Also go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to work with me directly around mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability for your highest level performance in your personal and professional life. Look for people who want to be in the top 2% of performers at what you do in your personal life, again, and in your career. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all